All right, Jeanny Rodriguez, one of my favorite people on the whole planet. I'm so thankful for you in general and in life, but I'm really thankful that you're taking some time out of your day to come and to share your hurts and your pain and your victory and your wisdom and everything that you have experienced through grief for the benefit of others. And so thank you so much for being willing to be part of this project and of this course and just caring so much about other people, that you want to give what you have for the sake of other people. So with that, why don't we just jump right into it? Why don't you share with all the
Yeah.
folks watching your experiences, because I know there's multiple, in walking through grief.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for inviting me. I love you too. I just really do look up to you. I so I grew up in an abusive home with my father physically, but I never experienced any. I experienced the grief of my childhood, really, but to actually lose someone, it was the first time was with my daughter. I had become my second pregnancy, and I 8 months into my pregnancy, I found out that there was a problem with her. I had gone to, well, actually in the 5th month, I started having contractions, so they sent me home with a pump. I had to pump myself and just that process itself is really painful. And I had a 3-year-old at home. Anyway, so come to the 8th month, I wasn't measuring, so I get rushed into the hospital to get this test done, and she ended up being delivered, and I almost died myself because I ended up with aspiration pneumonia. I saw her a week and a half after I recovered from my very high fever, and come to find out that she had this syndrome, and kids like her, it was trisomy 18, which is very rare. It's not hereditary. I didn't stand in front of the microwave for a long time, that kind of thing. So it was just like my life stopped. And, I was told that kids like her would live up to 12 years old. You never know how long they had. But so I just literally like just cried out to God. Like, I wasn't super close to God, but of course, things like that break you, it really, where else can you turn to, right?
Mm.
So I just turned to him and I say, God, what do I do? Because there are things like she had a hole in her heart, she had a hole in her cerebellum was missing. They look normal, but they're not normal. Like every cell in their body is messed up. It has a
Mm.
third chromosome, out of 23. Like Down
Mm.
syndrome is trisomy 21. On the 21st chromosome has an extra strand. So that's
Okay.
kind of like, anyway, so you could do surgeries on her and keep her here for as many years as you can. But I literally had to cry out, bloods of tears on the floor, screaming, what do I do? Do I keep her here, surgery after surgery? Because when your kids, they get the first scrape or something, you're like, oh my God, that it gives you the chills because you don't want them to hurt. Here I
Mm.
have my daughter, and I had to put her through heart surgery and surgery for this and surgery for that and surgery that I did not want her to have. But like, I'm thinking, okay, so God literally said, it's up to you. And I'm
Mm.
like, up to me? I'm like, oh my goodness. So I had to resolve um, to let her go. Like, I just thought that it was selfish for me to keep her because that was
Mm.
like the easy way to deal with it. Like, just keep her here, as opposed to just enjoying the time and releasing her to him. And I used to beg
Mm.
him, please, Lord, don't let her die in my house, me and my watch, because my husband, Dan, my ex-husband, used to work night shift, and I had my 3-year-old. And they actually let the hospital allow. I had to fight for her to go from one level hospital to another level hospital until I was able to then learn how to feed her through a tube and then get her home. So she died at home, but I had to have nurses with me to make sure that she was well taken care of. So she actually passed away of a heart attack at home, But I would beg
Mm.
God, please don't take her when I'm here alone with my son. Please don't, because my worry was for him, but also how I would react. You know, my little girl. I mean, it's just, but little did I know that he was preparing me. I mean, this is of course hindsight, because I went through a whole year where I had to take sleeping pills on the couch. I couldn't sleep anywhere else. You know, it was just really devastating. You know, my little girl, right?
Mhm.
And people would say, oh, you'll have another one. Well, guess what? I didn't have another one. I
Yeah.
couldn't get pregnant after that, even if I tried everything but in vitro, because I didn't want to do that.
Mm.
Fast forward 20 some years later, my twin sister, I mean, I was the one I dealt with two forms of cancer: ovarian cancer, that only 3% is survivable, and colon cancer.
Wow.
And I'm still here, right? So
Mm.
my sister's super healthy. She always worked out, my identical twin sister. Um, she gets diagnosed actually October 15 will be 7 years since she passed. She was diagnosed with lung cancer. I mean, if my daughter didn't wreck me, that wrecked me,
Mm.
because we were planning on, I mean, I even bought a house that is a kind of like a duplex where eventually in our 90s we would be together. You know? Like,
Right.
I mean, that just tore me up on the floor. Like, God, take me, don't take her, because she has two sons. I only have one. I mean, I'm begging God, begging him
Mm.
not to take her because of my mother. And I didn't want to deal with it. You know, I just thought it was easier just to leave and then have her
Yeah.
take it. Because, you know, it's just, as a twin, it's so hard. It's so hard because people look at you and they still see her. You know, how am I
Yeah.
supposed to deal with this? How am I supposed to
Yeah.
deal with this? And her sons, you know? Oh my God. So, but yeah. And then I fought for her to be healthy, you know, doing all the right things, not, you know, trusting God in a miracle to the very end. And so, so the very last, you know, I don't know, she was heavy breathing. You know, I decided to give her more morphine because she was in pain. But I dealt with you know, you're asking me how I dealt with death or grief. It's my daughter and then my sister, my twin sister.
Mhm.
And yeah, with her, she asked me, she said, don't leave me. She said to me, don't leave me. And I
Mm.
knew exactly what she meant. And I literally looked up and I'm like, I said in my head, I said, God, don't leave me, because
Mm.
how can I be through, you know, how can I mean, we came in this world together. And I never even thought about how we would leave, because we were, you know, she was 47, or I'll lose track of time. Um, and I had no exit plan. And I'm thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But I could never leave her because we were like close, you know? We were like, anyway, so when the time came, I mean, I literally said to her, leave, just leave, because her breathing
Mm.
became really heavy and she was just in a lot of pain. And yeah, so the breathing got really, really accelerated. And but I went to take a shower. I'm just kind of rushing through it. And we know you can ask me more later. But when I came back, you know, I just watched her and I held her in my arms, and I felt her leave. Like, she left
Mm.
through my body. Like, I smelled everything. I just, and her body got full of goosebumps. And I thought
Mm.
that that was when she saw the pearly gates.
Mm.
She loved Jesus. She loved Jesus.
Mm.
And the crazy thing is that I was into New Age, and I wasn't, I mean, I love Jesus,
Mm.
but I was more into, and if it wasn't because of that, because I had found the gift of cancer, and the gift of my daughter is that it gave me time to love on them, and it gave me time to let them know how much I love them. And because if it's a tragic thing, like, you know, I mean, one thing for sure, if we're born, we're gonna go. We just don't know
Mhm.
how, when, you know, we don't know the small details that are not so small, but But it's just like, but we're all going to go. And I just thank God that he gave me the opportunity to love on her and take care of her. And because of that, I got closer to Jesus where I'm never going back. I mean, he'll
Mm.
never, whatever it is, I know I can go through it. And then again, actually, from November 25th to May, I lost 11 friends and family this past
Mm.
year. 11. Like the worst one was my grandmother, some Alzheimer's, a young, there was my friend, she was in her 50s, 52. She never got out of bed. She had a heart attack. But the worst was my one friend, she was part of 5 people that got slaughtered at the bank in Lake Placid in Sebring.
Mm.
I
Mm.
mean, this madman came in the bank and shot them in their head, on their
Mhm.
head. I
Mhm.
mean, literally, she loved Jesus. The last thing she said was like at 11:45, she sent a message to her worship team, that we all need to be light in the world. And she quoted Proverbs, I think it was 2:17, I can't remember now. But because of what I walked through, I was able to go to that church, go to my family church over there, my mom's church really, but they know me. I love them. They love me, and I was able to help them, And I mean, it's just like you have. There's no way to avoid the pain,
Yeah.
right? But it's like, what do you do with that pain?
Yeah.
I mean, I want my pain to count,
Right.
and I want to, you know, I mean, I just want to I want to know what God wants from me. And I want to show up crying, show up kicking and screaming or laughing but I know that joy comes in the morning. Why do I
Yeah.
know that? How do I know that? Because I just grab onto every word that comes out of the Bible. I mean, I'm not every, because I'm not, it's a lot. It's a big book. But I like whatever God speaks to me, I'm gonna take it to heart and just say, God, I stink and I don't always listen, but I know you never leave me and you'll never forsake me. And greater is he who's in me than he who's in the world. And
Mhm.
I know that he'll never leave me. He'll never leave
Mhm.
me. And if I'm still here, I know I'm going to go through some other pain and some other loss because I have family and I have a lot of loved ones. And just going to focus on today because
Yeah.
today's what is guaranteed. We don't know about
Mhm.
tomorrow. So yeah, I just want to know what's in his heart and that I
Mhm.
hope I can be a good steward of his message.
Yeah. That's such a like, so as I've had more and more of these conversations, some reoccurring themes keep lifting to the surface. And so one of them is every person, it changes your relationship with God, and it
Yes.
is one of the gifts we talk about is like you can think you have a great faith, or you can have no faith, or you can think, but when you hit crisis and tragedy, it's all out there. Like you are going to be confronted with how much or how little faith you have. Like it is really a rubber meets the road thing. And it's an invitation in that
Yeah.
moment to go deeper with God. It's an invitation
Yes.
if you don't know him at all to
Yeah.
encounter him for the first time. And if you do know him, an invitation to go deeper. And every person I've talked to has talked about their relationship with the Lord changing as a result of this. And every person without fail has said that their faith has been multiplied,
Yeah.
that their trust in him and their faith in him and whatever has been greatly deepened. And so, I just am encouraged that people, if they're going through this, like I'm so thankful for that. Like I would rather have my mom and my son here, but especially with my mom, like I thought I really trusted God with everything. I had no idea that I actually didn't. And it's like
Hmm.
many people go through their whole lives with thinking that they're whatever, but they never really know for sure. And I think that you can't unless you go through something like this.
Yeah.
That's the only way. And like you said too, the perspective, I've yet to meet anyone who has such a value for life, except for people who've lost people who are close to them.
Yes.
I think we all live in this like mysterious bubble, like everyone's just going to live forever. You don't really think about it. You think that you're sort of,
Yeah.
until it happens. And then when it
Yeah.
happens, it's a fork in the road. And now you have
Yeah.
the opportunity to like, oh my gosh, if you're in the wrong career or the wrong relationship or spending your time the wrong way, it's a wake up call that like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
my days are not guaranteed and I better make the most of this life, you know? And so,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
know that's what you're doing.
yeah, and I think, God was one, thinking in the God terms, like he's up there somewhere saying, "Oh, I really want a family." So he makes us, right? And he wants a relationship with us. And then we forget about him, you know?
Mm,
He gives us this assignment with this like earth suit, but we forget. And
yeah.
now it's like the big amazing race to get back to him, but we're blind. So he'll just throw like a little brick, and see if you like catch, hey, here I am. But we get hit and we're like, all right, that was good. And we keep going, right? And then we get in maybe a few more bricks thrown at us and we're like, ooh, that hurt a little bit more. And then you just like, I got it. I keep going. But I got it. Remember that keyword, I, right? And then half a wall will fall on you, like my daughter. And I'm like, oh, that hurt really bad. Oh my God, I barely made it. But I'm like, okay, God, I got it again. And then here comes the big one,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, oh, that's it. I can't do this. I got the message. I got it. I cannot go on for the rest of my life without you. Because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I got this. I love Jesus. Yep. Sunday morning comes, check. I'm good for the rest of the week. When it's a lifestyle, it's
Yeah.
got to be like an intentional every day. My breath has to be his breath. My
Yeah.
walk has to be his walk. And
Yeah.
now I get it. And it doesn't mean that, okay, I arrived, because I know that, again, we're in this like world that will go somewhere, someday it'll be no longer. But my hope is that I know, like I know that I will go to heaven, that I do love him, and I will mess up, but I'm going to be quick to repent, quick to repent, dust off and get back in the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for folks who are like walking through grief, like if it's fairly shortly after somebody passed away or it's their first time walking through grief, like what was something for you that like caught you off guard or really surprised you about grieving? Like what was something you didn't expect?
How selfish people can be,
Mm,
how insensitive, and how much you have to kind of like take your time to say, no, that's not going to work for me. I really want to be like Thanksgiving Day by myself in pajamas, eating ice cream, watching the parade.
yes, that's so good.
Literally. Like, I just want to like, I catch you, boo, but you need to stay out on the balcony. I got to deal with my ice cream and my grief. Like,
Yeah.
just to take your time that if I felt like crying, I'm going to cry. If I
Yeah.
felt like laughing, I'm going to laugh. And I don't want to
Yeah.
be judged, you know? I don't want to be judged. I just want to be me.
And that's so awesome. I'm so glad that you said that. And I hope like that everybody watching will get permission to do that. Because for a lot of people, it's maybe the first time that they're having to be protective of themselves and advocates for themselves and knowing what they need in any given moment. And I just want to empower people that like to have permission to do what you need to do and make no apologies for it. Like take care of yourself, put your own oxygen mask on first, and understand and have grace and patience that other
Yeah.
people grieving too, and they're not perfect and they're in process. Like it's given me, one of the things it's given me is that I'm so quick to forgive somebody if they say something ignorant or insensitive, because it's just like, oh, they haven't lost anyone, like you can just really tell. I just was talking to somebody the other day and they're like, oh, I understand. I've had so much grief in my life, and explained how like a boyfriend of 5 years broke up with her and how she's like, and she was trying to, and bless her heart, but it's like, oh, clearly, she hasn't lost anyone yet. So like, she doesn't really know. So I don't get offended. It just rolls off my back. So for me, that's one of the things is I'm actually way more understanding of people's ignorant comments because
Yeah. But I think that's because you've moved from the victim mentality to the heal heart. You're not looking for someone to say, oh, poor Kelly, come here, let me burp you. It's like you just want to, you're just not a victim. You've already gone through the process, and that's what we all need to get to get to that process where it doesn't matter what people say, we know who we are, and we got the gift from it, and we know like we're going to see them again because this life is just a puff.
Yeah.
We know like we know we're going to see them again.
Yeah. That's so good. That's so good. And that's true, like moving from the victim mentality, understanding that like no one is going to solve it for you. No one's going to make it better. And no one, they can't make it worse either if you don't let them. That this
Yes.
I really understand the scripture, and I'm probably going to misquote it, that said, each heart knows its own bitterness and none can share in its joy. That like there are some things that just only you know the fullness of what it felt like to lose your daughter and lose your sister.
Yeah.
And the richness and the rewards that come out, only your heart can really receive the fullness of joy as well. Like it becomes so real to me. I can have people around me and great support, and we need that and want that, but there are some things that are just like only you,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
And I think that, the revelation for me about this is when I meet people that are going through worse things or same things, or, it's never going to be the same because, Hebrews 12:1, we have our own race, the race that is marked out for each one of us. That doesn't make it, because even when I was a twin, I'm thinking, we're so alike, but we were so different.
Right.
We are the same egg, yet we had two separate races, separate stories, right? But I tell people, it's like, I hear you, and I cannot imagine what it's like to be in your shoes.
Yeah.
I'm here if you want to talk, but I cannot even imagine.
Yeah. And I think one of the gifts, and that was going to be my next question for you is, is at least one or some of the gifts that you recognize that you've received from coming through it. And one of them, I think, is that we can be more empathetic, even though we're not in their shoes and we're not in their place. Like we're able to empathize and just be in that place with them and not be comfortable. Like so many of, people who haven't gone through it typically like are uncomfortable and they kind of don't want to say. But what are some of the other gifts that you've received by having gone through this?
Well, definitely the closer relationship to God, and that if I did not walk the walk and feel the pain and know when to cry and when to rest and when to do, I messed up. I went to counseling, and literally the counselor, I messed up in the sense that, actually there's no messing up. Through my journey of learning, I got more out of just stepping out of that front door and dealing with it than staying behind doors, And what was I gonna say? If it wasn't because of what I'd done, I wouldn't even be talking to you right now.
Yeah.
Like it was the ability, it was the realization that I had to take small little practical steps to, set a timer, to just get up and do enough for that day and get back to bed. And then just keep pushing myself a little bit further, like you said, like laughter is so important, and guarding what you watch. I'm not going to watch the news when I know that, it's going to make me even more afraid, So just to be aware of the moment and where I wanted to get to, which I was intentional about healing. I was going to be intentional about healing, that this was not going to burn me up and become ashes. Like I really wanted to make, like my sister would not want me to stay in this position. My daughter
Yeah.
would not want me to stay in this position. I mean, God doesn't want me to stay in this position. I want to graduate,
Yeah.
and that's what, yeah, just, I don't know, just to keep going, just to keep going, even when it's hard. Just surround yourself with people that are going to, you know, um, elevate you. Like when you walk into a room, do people go, or do they like, hey, Kelly, like I just want to see that, I want
Yeah.
to see that in my life. And the people that are just like hole punchers on your boat, because I'm thinking my life is a boat. Like I don't want them on my boat. I'm like, I'll push them off my boat. Yeah. I hope they know how to swim.
So that's a good point though. Like where did you find those people, especially when you were grieving? Because a lot of people they're uncomfortable and they tend to like keep their distance from people. Like were you
Oh yeah.
find good people in your grief, and where did you find them?
Yeah, that's true. Family was not the go-to because they're dealing with their own grief.
Right.
Um, you know, interesting. I mean, I had a nurse at my hospital that I don't even know if it was because nobody knew. I went back to find her and nobody knew. It's just like we don't have anybody that works like sounds like you're describing that works here. I had
Mm.
this nurse that came in the room and I was totally like bawling, and she literally just held my hand, and I was just crying, telling her, like how sad I was and my daughter, and I can't see her because I have fever and I'm in pain. And she literally just, the way she held my hand, it was like so beautiful. And she just said, just give yourself time.
Mm.
She said, give yourself, and I think she was an angel. I mean, literally,
Mm.
I think she was an angel. So it just, I think that you have to trust the process because God will send you people. God will not give us any more than we can handle. And that's when you have to give them a chance to show up because people like, yeah, like it just be, I don't know, at the grocery store, somebody would say something. Um, you know, I started going to church, so I could see people's hearts in their eyes. And then I would just wait and see, and definitely in the word, trusting in the word, that joy will come in the morning. He will
Yeah.
be my strength. So yeah, I just had people like that that came and hung out in silence and
Yeah.
and stepped up, just give me a hug when I needed one. But I definitely did not put my trust in broken people. I looked for people that were, because we're all broken, but a little less broken than me.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so good. That's so good. And I want to leave room to chat a little bit about, because the fifth step in our whole process is to find a purpose for your pain and to take the thing that, that was meant for harm and turn it to good. And I know that you're all about that, and you have an organization that's just about encouraging people to do just that and keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I know it's 12.1. So talk a little bit about 12.1, like how it was created and what the goal and intention of it is.
That was amazing. That came, it was a process from asking God to use me after my sister left to, you know, being closer to him. And as I was getting closer to him, he started trusting me. So I said, okay, God, I get it. It's all about you. And I need to share the gospel. Well, how am I going to do that? Because I don't want people I don't like rejection, right? And so one day, yeah, or much less get your head chopped up, right? So I'm like, all right. And so one day he gave me this number that kind of flashed in my head. And I'm like, what is? He gave me the 12.1 symbol. Yeah, I'm wearing the shirt. So I'm like,
Ah,
so then I said, okay, what is 12.1? Well, the next day he says, look up Hebrews 12.1. And then I looked it up in my phone app that was the nearest to me because I was on the road. And it says that, therefore, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witness, to leave things behind and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the the race marked out for you. So that was like, whoa, you know, because right, I think that that message is like a cliff note from the Bible. Like if you have to
Mm,
think of any, you know, like surround yourself. You're surrounded, but then you can surround yourself with great people here on this earth because you know, earth as it is in heaven, right? So, and then leave things behind. So leave the junk, the muck, the, you know, whatever. It could be what you're watching on TV. You know, if you have dependency to alcohol and drugs, just leave that behind.
mhm.
And the sin that's so easily entangled. So you need to be intentional about turning your way towards Jesus, away from the world, and then to know that He's already put a message in you just for you, that you're unique. Don't compare yourself. Don't look to the right. Don't look to the left. Just keep focused on Him, and you win. So He's telling you how to win. That would be verse number 2. You know, but so yeah. So I just thought, wow. So 13.1 being half a marathon, but 12.1 is your life marathon because this symbol of the oval, here I have a mug too. This symbol, I live and breathe. So, because you never know who's going to, I mean, I had people say, hey, did you not make it? You know, the people that run and know the symbol, that it's a race symbol,
Oh.
they'll say, hey, did you not make it? And I'm like, yeah. So they'll come to me or they'll say, I say, you know, let me tell you about it. It's a race, but it's your life's race because we're
That's so
all
good.
running. We're all running. You're a runner. Even if you don't physically run, you know, you run. I mean, at some point you're going to run to the bathroom. So that counts. But I'm just saying, you know, it's like you have a race just for you. Just keep going and like never give up. So it's a
Yeah.
message of encouragement.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Well,
cool
and
how he worked it in.
that's perfect because you're one of the most naturally encouraging people that I've ever met in my life. It's like breathing to you. Encouragement just oozes out your pores. So I'm super thankful to know you and to call you friend.
Yes.
You have an awesome book that you put out and a website and all that kind of stuff. So what is either the website or the Facebook group if people want to come find you and
Um, yeah, it's here I kept my imperfect copy of the book, like the first editor's copy, because it just reminds me a long way I come. But this is what
gotcha.
it looks like. And you can get it at Amazon, Run Your Own Race. The website is 12.1 runyourownrace.com. So it's a cool book. So even if you don't feel like reading, because you know, on those days that you're depressed and grieved, like every page, it's like a devotional. So every page has a graphic that I worked out with the Holy Spirit. So He helped me how to do it. So you just look at it and it'll encourage you and it'll just remind you that not to give up. So that's how it kind of got dropped on me. It was His
Perfect.
idea.
Well, yeah, and I mean, you're an example of taking those tough things and then turning it to good. And then now, because you're walking in that, it's going to bless other people. And that's the invitation that everybody watching this has, that they can take their thing and go and use it to bless other people. Because unfortunately, there are so many people that are walking through so many hard things, and not
Mhm.
all of them get up and brush themselves off. I think we need more and more examples of people who've done it and are moving on, in purpose, on purpose, and
Yep,
doing significant things. So,
exactly.
good. Well, thank you again. Thanks for coming on and
You're
so
welcome.
in these people's lives. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I love you. I just love what you're doing. So it's just amazing how God will turn the ashes into such a beautiful message.